Batwoman, episode 2. What an improvement on the first episode of this season. We have a new lead still. Ryan Wilder is the new Batwoman. We see that really come to pass in this episode because Gotham needs its hero. And everything was just moving along much better this week. Last week I spoke about how the hangover of Kate Kane, Ruby Rose in the role, and her departure was kind of still there for the show. But this week, it really started to move into its own rhythm, its own stories. Obviously, Kate is still a big part of this season. Jacob Kane, Alice, they're all tied into her. That will always be true. But the show has found really good reasons now to make them sort of have a connection with Ryan as Batwoman. We know that Kate's father now is really angry that someone else is dead to don the suit. There's a lovely moment when he thought that Kate was back for a second until he used the old goggles, binoculars, and saw that obviously Ryan is of a different skin colour to Kate. That was a bit of a gut-wrenching moment, but he realised really quickly. I'm glad they didn't milk it. As I said last week, I now think his issue with Batwoman is going to be that he thinks this person is really tarnishing the legacy that Kate left. And then on the other hand, we've got Alice, whose connection with Ryan is very much on Ryan's side. Ryan hates Alice. She believes Alice to be responsible for the death of her stepmom. And in this episode, actually, they finally came face to face, and Ryan had Alice beat. She had her beat. And as Alice said, the difference between Kate and Ryan, or she doesn't know it's Ryan, but the difference between them is that she knows that this Batwoman will kill her. And so that was a lovely part of the episode. And, it was made very clear by Luke when he agreed to let Ryan become the new Batwoman, that Batwoman does not kill. Not even Alice, for whatever she holds against Alice now, she cannot kill her or anyone else. And Ryan agreed to that. So let's go backwards. Let's take a rewind to the rest of the episodes. The whole storyline was that Alice is really trying to get the attention of Sophia. To do that, she uses Mouse's body, and it did look like the actor was back. I mean, if it was a mould of some sort, it was incredible, but it felt like the actor was back. I didn't look at the credits. The poison that was in him strapped a rat to the chest so that all the bats would eat the rat and presumably eat most of Mouse's corpse. I mean, gosh, what does Alice do to her enemies, eh? If that's what she does to her, family. Those bats then start to poison the whole city when Alice has an amazing plan. I loved that. I thought that was great, using the bats against the city as well. And we saw earlier in the episode how Ryan established that she actually has like a fear of bats. They didn't really play on that as much later on. I thought that was a missed opportunity, but I thought that's where they were going when they introduced that aspect of it. We're seeing more with Alfred's daughter and Sophie. I don't know where that's going to go. Sophie obviously knows Ryan, it turns out, believes Ryan to really be a bad egg, and I'm not sure where that's going to lead. I have no idea. I hope they don't become love interests. I really hope it doesn't go there. That will feel a little bit forced, but who knows? Maybe they could sell me on it if they do that. I think at this point, having Alfred's daughter there does feel like a little bit of a hangover again from having Kate Kane there, because she has no established relationship now really with anyone on the show except for Sophie. So I don't know if this whole thing is gearing towards getting her out of it. But at the same time, they've had Alice try to reach out to her now, so maybe that's how they're going to sort of just do a course redirection with Alfred's daughter. We also got a shout out that, Alfred is alive last week, so I'm really happy about that. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, because I previously suspected he could be dead. We saw some real good scenes when Ryan was trying to get a job, and she couldn't because even though she was wrongfully convicted, as she says, she cannot get a job because she's been a felon. She's been to jail. And that's a real world issue. She's facing issues that a lot of people face, black or any other ethnicity, but certainly that black convicts face. I just thought the whole thing was done remarkably well. The show has always done well with how it's touched on real world attitudes towards issues such as sexuality, all those things. So it's nice to see them do that almost with race now as well, and some of the problems faced by our friends. But Ryan came together in this episode. She is starting to feel like more of a lead character, a central character. It's going to take time. it is going to take time. Ruby Rose was not a very strong part of the show, but Kate Kane's character was so integral. And they're going to basically have to take this whole season, I think, to do that same thing with Ryan. By the end of the season, the show needs to feel like Ryan Wilder's Batwoman. If it's not, I think they're going to struggle. I do see the third season as another reset year, really, because I don't know how some of the characters we have now from Kate's time, I don't know how we can keep them around forever going forward, because they were so tied to Kate. But who knows? Maybe I'll be surprised. I hope I am, because I do love the show. Favourite parts of the show, then, I gotta say, I loved just the whole fight between Alice and Ryan. I loved the rage that was in Ryan, or I should say as Batwoman, really. And just a massive fan of seeing Alice just be truly evil, because it's horrible. But they're so creative with it compared to some of the other shows in the Arrowverse. They really don't hold back on Alice at all. Like, she's nasty. She's really nasty. They don't shy away from showing that to us. So I love their fight sequence. I love that Ryan actually had it beat until Alice brought all the bats into the sort of center of the city. And I just love that whole sequence, really, where, you know, the Crows wanted to get hold of Batwoman. Batwoman's out there trying to help. This is a moment to really establish herself. I really did like it. And I'm looking forward to seeing the suit change that I think is coming for episode 3. I think is already revealed. I don't think that's a spoiler. I think they've revealed that's going to happen. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the suit change. I do still just get too many memories of Kate Kane in the suit when we see the long red wig and things like that. But, you know, I do think Ryan looks pretty badass in the suit, and I do believe that she can fight. I love that sequence in the shop when she tried to break up the burglary. She did successfully do it, but she got arrested. She was racially profiled. I'm really going back on myself with it all, but I just really loved how she was kind of like, oh, great. You know, like she knew what was happening and she's so fed up with it. And I think there's so many people probably in the world, particularly in America right now, who feel that way when they're in that situation. And I'm glad the show hasn't shied away from it. You know, they've cast a black woman as the new Batwoman, and they are very, very happy to tackle all the issues that come with that. And I am completely supportive of it. I like it. I'm actually enjoying Ryan more as a lead than I ever was Kate. So I'm all game for it. And as many real world issues as they can present to us in this show, the better. We may manage to educate just at least a handful of people who are watching this show at home, who maybe came into this season with reservations or even just a lack of knowledge about what is going on in the world around them. So looking forward to that. This really was an improvement on last week. It's made me very excited for episode 3. This felt like the Batwoman show that we were watching in season 1. It really was a very good superhero show. It just all clicked a bit more here. And we're finding out a bit more about how Ryan's going to have relationships with other characters on the show. That's a good thing. Yes, this is an ideal position to be in at the start of your second season, but, you know, they are doing the best with it that they can. And it was definitely an improvement over last week's episode. So what do you think of this week's episode? We're going into the next one now. Alice has a plan. She's trying to get in front of Sophia, presumably to kill her. Looking forward to seeing what comes of that, especially if Sophia is meant to be the main bad guy. Who knows? We don't know. What do you think is going to happen when Alice and Sophia come face to face? You know, so much could happen. So I look forward to finding out. Look forward to chatting with you about it. And don't forget, you can also become a patron on my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/nerdsince86, where you get early access to videos. Just can chat with me privately or in the groups, all those things, and just some exclusive videos that will never be released to the rest of the viewing public. So thank you very much. Thanks for the support. I'll talk to you all very soon about Batwoman episode 3.